Hey folks, back again for another vlog. This is Steven Universe something or other, Sworn to the Sword, and something else that maybe I'll remember. I don't know, Sworn to the Sword has erased everything. Oh, Rising Tides, Crashing Sky. That's the other one. So, wow, Sworn to the Sword. Like, the minute Pearl started singing that song, like Do It For Her, I Mean Him, I knew we were in for a heavy episode. The thing that I didn't expect out of it was, I guess I never really thought before about how much Connie and Pearl have in common. Because in Pearl we see someone who, you know, has a really low opinion of herself. She says, you know, she thinks of herself as nothing. She was out on the battlefield constantly trying to sacrifice herself for Rose. She's somebody who sees herself as being basically worthless, that she should be willing to give everything for the person she, let's be honest here, loves. And I feel like that has to come from somewhere. I feel, you know, there was a comment. I feel like somewhere in the first season, somebody said something to her along the lines of, "You're just a pearl." Peridot, maybe? Or Jasper? But, like, she couldn't do what she was doing. She couldn't fight against them because she was just a pearl. And I feel like that's something she's always lived with, that she's always been just. You know, just this, just that. Never more than that. And so she dedicated herself to fighting for Rose because Rose was the one... Excuse me. Yeah, I teared up a little bit at this episode. Rose was the one person who saw her as being something more. She says it herself, you know. Connie expresses concern when they start to realize how Pearl felt about herself and about Rose. She says, you know, did she make you feel like you were nothing? Connie is basically asking, like, was Rose abusive? And Pearl's answer completely takes that out of the question. Because Pearl's answer is, she made me feel like I was everything. She made Pearl feel like Pearl mattered. Because I think to Rose Quartz, Pearl did matter. And that, the way Pearl reacted to that, the way she then utterly dedicated herself to first Rose and then Steven, kind of tells us that wasn't something that had happened much for her before. And then you have Connie. And Connie, like I was saying last time, I don't think Connie's had any friends before Steven, and I don't think she really has any friends other than Steven. So she easily slides into a similar pattern. You know, I'm nothing, I'm not worth anything. I should be willing to give myself up for Steven, and Steven's not having any of that. You know, because Steven cares. It's kind of his defining trait. He cares about people, and he wants people to be together and work together. He doesn't want anybody to sacrifice. You know, Pearl says, you know, you might not always be there for Connie, and, you know, when it comes to battle, Connie might have to fight alone. And Steve's like, no, never going to happen. I will always be there. So they fight as a team. And they are able to match Pearl when they're working as a team. She's able to, disarm them in the end, but they do impressively well against her and clearly catch her by surprise. They're a good team. And that's something that, it makes her realize that they're going to do things differently. And it helps Connie to realize that, no, she does matter and should matter, that she and Steven can be knights for each other. Instead of there being a hierarchy, there's a team. And I've been talking about this a little bit in my other project, Near Apocalypse of 09, and I've been talking about it in regards to Batman the Animated Series, and a similar development that builds up over the second season of that show, which is replacing the hero sidekick model with a team. And there's a big difference there, because members of a team are equals. Teams don't necessarily need to have a leader, because everybody has different things they're good at, and they respect each other's abilities and defer to each other's judgments in a well-balanced team. You don't need hierarchy, because all that does is say some people are above others and some people are below, and that's where Pearl has felt her whole life, and that's what Steven is rejecting. It's really good stuff. The idea of, Pearl is approaching it as military, whereas Steve and Connie, jam has so many meanings. At the beginning they play with that. They have a jam session that's them playing music together about jam, and then they eat jam. And that's what it becomes, is instead of a military hierarchy kind of a thing, a feudal kind of thing, because all hierarchies are basically feudalism. All hierarchies are basically the same, and feudalism is a good way, because it's a dead system, it's a good way of appreciating that hierarchies are kind of bunk. Instead of this feudal thing of the liege and the knight, it's a jam session. It's two people working together, weaving into one another, improvising off of one another, knowing each other well enough that they can, without needing orders or someone, a pre-planned approach, or someone making all the decisions for both of them, they can just work together, because each of them understands the other one well enough to be able to communicate on that level. I like it. I like it a lot. And Steve, like I said, Steve and Connie make a great team. So really, really good episode. I think up there with whatever the first episode of the season was, the one with the Connie trying to call Steven. I think up there with that one for like the best episodes this season. I'm really enjoying the amount of Connie we've been getting, what they've been doing with her. I'm really enjoying, I really like this increased character development for Pearl, this character development for Steven. A really good, solid episode. As for Rising Tides, Crashing Skies, it's kind of funny because I was referring to Ronaldo and Keep Beach City Weird last episode, and now we've got essentially a sequel to it. This was just some silly fun. Again, making fun of the conspiracy nut. Again, pointing out that the conspiracy nut needs their conspiracy. The reason people come up with conspiracies is to fill an emotional need. It's not to explain anything. Ronaldo needs to believe that he has access to secret knowledge. We saw that when he got hit by the t-shirt cannon and thought it was aliens trying to communicate with him. We saw that back in Keep Beach City Weird. He needs to be the possessor of the secret and arcane knowledge. He needs to be in the inner circle of the secret. You know, he needs to believe that there is an inner circle, that there are secret masters, so that he can believe that he deserves to know about them. It enables him to think he's special. And so it's what we might think of as the Mulder problem. You know, Mulder is constantly trying to expose and drive off the aliens, at least in what I saw of the X-Files. I kind of abandoned that show after the second season, but the rest of my family liked it, so I saw some of the rest. But, you know, he's doing this, but he needs them. If the conspiracy, you know, if he ever penetrated to the true heart of the conspiracy, his life would have no meaning. He would lose all purpose, and the show would end. So, of course, there has to be a conspiracy inside the conspiracy inside the conspiracy inside the conspiracy. In this case, Ronaldo believes he succeeded in driving off the crystal gems. Actually, it's just Garnet trying to get rid of him, which is beautiful. I really enjoy blunt Garnet. Garnet, who is just done with people being weird at her. Anyway, you know, he recognizes that a little too late that he needs the weirdness. That even though he's positioned himself as in a hostile position, he needs it to exist. Because without having that conflict in his life, without having that belief that he's the secret warrior, his life falls apart. Which, you know, at least he's using cameras and talking about aliens and stuff instead of, you know, stockpiling guns, the way a lot of people who have the need to believe that they are, you know, secretly fighting in some kind of secret war that is unknown to most. People have fantasies about, you know, saving the day with their violence. At least he's just, you know, he's more focused on information. So a little bit less dangerous. And I liked it again. The show has absolutely no problem whatsoever just mercilessly mocking him for it. You know, it's not mean, it's not cruel, but it does not shy at all from showing how ridiculous he is. Because it is a ridiculous thing. But it's a very, you know, conspiracies are ridiculous, but they're very seductive. Because we all want to believe that we're right. And the beautiful thing about a conspiracy is every piece of evidence that you're wrong is proof that you're right. Because it's been manufactured by them. So you get to be right all the time. Except for the part where, you know, you're completely wrong about everything. But you get to feel right all the time. And that's, you know, Ronaldo in a nutshell. He always feels like he's right. He does not question himself. Even in that what have I done moment, he's not really questioning any of his beliefs. He's just looking for an excuse to bring things back to the way he enjoys them. You know. He's a great character. I think he's used approximately the correct amount. I don't think more of him would be good. But the amount we get of him is good. So yeah. Other thing to comment on? New opening sequence. Very cool. I'm not sure if I like it or the original one better. Visually, I like this one more. Particularly like Connie with the giant freaking sword. That's Rose's sword, isn't it? That she has in the opening, which is interesting. But, actually that's very interesting because it suggests if she is actually going to get Rose's sword in the show, well, Steven has Rose's shield. That really puts some interesting meaning on the two of them being a team and working together as one, so to speak. That Connie brings the sword skills and Steven brings the shield and the healing. And that together they make Rose, essentially. Only perhaps more so. Anyway, I like the opening. Musically, the new opening is a little more complicated, and there's a lot to be said for the simplicity of the old one. Like, it's the same basic tune, but there's a lot of crap added onto it in the second opening, and I'm still kind of about it. I'm sure I'll come to like it with time, but right now, I think I like the visuals of the new opening, but I prefer the audio of the old opening. That said, after I watched these 2 episodes, I went online to see what I could find out about the opening, and I found the 3-minute version, which was really cool because it tied together, it had Steven's song from the pilot, and then it had his version of the opening song from the pilot, and then it had individual solos from the different characters, and then it went into the new opening, and that was very cool. I liked that a lot. And the new opening did flow much more naturally from that. So, on the other hand, you can't have a 3-minute opening to a show. Like, a minute and a half for a half-hour show is about as far, or an hour-long show. That's about as far as you can go. For an 11.5-minute show, I think 30 seconds is about the right length. So I understand why they would have just done the last chunk. But I do think it works a lot better when you've built up to it like that. But it'll probably grow on me. Anyway, this, I believe, is the 3rd batch of the day. I've been grinding out a lot of these videos because I'm very behind due to a bunch of stuff that happened this month. So I'm going to do one more batch and call it a day. So see you in a little bit. Bye.